If you're new to the project, a big warm welcome. If you're a tough old root, then welcome back. Here on Steep in the Woods, we're building a small tower house out of used pallets. And in this video, we cover start to finish how we made our own stupid cheap roof. We did everything from laminating our own beams out of pallet wood, from putting down sheeting, framing the roof itself, putting down underlayment, doing foam board, and finally the pond liner, giving us the perfect foundation for a living roof. And if you stick around to the end of the video, you'll get some information on a brand new service we are offering to all of our viewers, including our tough old roots. Right here we have our roof joists. I made 9 of them. I made 2 more than I thought that we needed, just because we're doing a living roof. Now, the way we're going to do our living roof, it's not going to be very heavy. It's not going to be, an overly heavy roof. But a living roof plus the occasional snowfall, I wanted to beef it up just a little bit more. Now, with these boards, we laminated them only 2 thick, and just created more, right? So instead of doing 3 thick, we went 2 thick and added an extra 2 boards, which actually saved lumber in the long run and will give us a much wider footprint to spread out this weight evenly. But yeah, same deal as everything else. Get yourself a bunch of pallet wood, a whole crap ton of nails, and a few mending plates, and just create whatever boards you want at whatever length. I think with these, I give myself an 18-inch overhang, but it might be slightly more or it might be slightly less. But either way, all these boards are already cut to the correct length, whatever length that is, and all we gotta do is just put them up. So we're going to go up there and we're going to measure, go ahead and mark our spacings, and it's just a matter of dragging these up, laying them on top of our walls, and attaching them down. As you can see, our roof joists are in place. We have 9 of them. I used a 2x4 as a straight edge, as well as marking what should have been the correct distance on the beam itself. All I did was took the spacing of our walls, the spacing of our beams, and subtracted that and divided it by 2, and then marked the 2 in. So that should be the overhang. And we actually did really, really good making these walls and this roof very, very straight. Those measurements were within like a 1/16 of an inch, which is really good when you've laminated your own beams out of pallet boards. All these measurements and all these dimensions, we were able to get them really, really close. Not perfect, but there again, you're not gonna make it perfect with a 2x4 either. So we're just as good, if not better off, because we got this dramatically cheaper. Now that we've got them in place exactly where we want them, I'm just gonna throw a couple screws in them for right now so we can start our framing. Now that we have the roof joists attached, we will do a little bit more later, but this is plenty enough for right now. It's plenty enough, just period. But we will do more because that's what we do here. We're going to go ahead and measure and cut all our blocks that go in between the roof trusses, get those installed. Yeah, that's our next step. From that point, we'll actually start framing the left and the right overhang of the roof. Once that's done, we get to put our 1x4 flat boards on it, then house wrap, then foam board, then under laminate for the pond liner, then the pond liner itself, and bam, Roof is done. Basically, you know, you need moss on it and whatnot, but that will get you a 10-year roof easily. So I'm gonna give you guys an idea of how I write down my numbers. I do it completely incorrectly, but I want you to know that that is okay by demonstrating it, right? I can build stuff, it all lines up pretty good, but 2 under 12, 1 over 13 and a fourth, 2 over 13 and a half, 13 and a fourth, 13 and a fourth, 1 over 13 and a fourth, 13 and a fourth, 1 and a half over 11 and a half. Right, that's completely the wrong way to do it, but it works, and it works really well for me, being dyslexic. Definitely. So if that works for you, do it. I mean, it's longer, 1 and a half over 11 and a half, but I mean that's that's a real close measurement. Like, that is closer than the nearest notch on your tape measure. So by God, you can get stuff pretty dang close by just writing it out a little bit longer. Here we are on the roof, or I'm halfway on the roof, halfway on the wall, and we've got several, don't drop it, several of these real thick pallet boards that I cut to the correct length, and what we're going to do is attach these right here, creating our roof overhang on the back side. Now, because there is a lip on this 2x6 top board, we're going to be able to get 3 screws in it. One that goes through the 2x6 into the bottom, and then 2 that go through the joist itself. We're also going to be attaching some lightweight brackets, but I may not include that in the video because I know people are going to love to hate them. But either way, yep, that is kind of the deal. We got 7 of them that go from this wall to this wall, and then 1 for both ends. We're going to try to do the rim of our roof 2 boards thick. So 1, obviously pallet boards and pieces for 1 of those thicknesses, and then we got a store-bought 2x4. I know, it's terrible. A store-bought 2x4 to go around the that final rim. So either way, we're just going to put you guys on time lapse and get these set up, attach them, in position. I very nearly messed up, or actually I guess I did mess up, but thank God I was using screws, so I was able to pull them back out. I was lining these up with the studs in the wall, but then yet again I forgot, oh, there's a 4.5 inch overlap, you know, because the walls do this, right? This wall ends in that, so you have the thickness of the other wall. Either way, the studs don't line up perfectly. So I had to pull them back out and move them. However, now they are in the correct position. I just scooted them over 3.5 inches, and there you go. Man, ta-da! On this particular ladder, since I don't like heights, it's at its fullest extent. This is 20-something feet worth of ladder. I've staked in a board down at the bottom to keep it from kicking out. I've attached 2 small pieces of board both on the right and the left at roof level to keep it from going side to side. And I've also used a bungee cord to help keep it against the house itself. So, I mean, it's as safe as it's gonna get. I still don't like it though. But that's one of the pluses of doing something like a living roof. It should be there forever, right? Once we get the moss and or the plants, the dirt, etc. on top of these 2 layers of pond liner, should be good forever. Maintenance-free roof. So, at least I've only got to do this once. This is the last piece, and by God, there's a reason why I didn't do a whole lot of talking or filming. This is stunk. This has been kind of terrible. You know, it was free, so that is awesome. You know, that is a bonus to it, right? At least we didn't have to pay for this and do this enormous amount of work. But yeah, it takes a long time to sheet something this big with boards that are that wide. But either way, the way that the house is going to be constructed, you know, you're going to be looking at the bones of it. We're not going to hide the construction method. We're not putting drywall inside of this house. You're going to look at the pallets. So when you're in the 2nd level, forever and a day, you can look up and see all these boards that I spent forever nailing in. So I'm just going to go ahead and nail this one in. And then what we're going to be doing at this point, the next step will be doing house wrap, which I'm not really looking forward to. House wrap goes on top, then we'll screw down our foam board. On top of the foam board, we'll go under laminate for the pond liner, and then the pond liner goes on top of that. We will be doing 2 pond liners and 2 under laminates on this roof by the time that it's finished. But that second one, we don't really need that until winter. So yeah, that'll be it for the roof as far as the summer and the fall. And come winter, thank you to a tough old root who sent us 3 pond liners. That's freaking awesome. They are absolutely invaluable. We will be able to put a second one on this roof, you know, before winter, before that cold hits. If you've ever built something with a cathedral roof, right, you can actually see the roof. It's not a false roof. Like say if, you know, them regular ranch style houses, they have a pointy roof on them, but when you're in the house, you don't see that point. That's because that is a, I don't know what it's called, an open roof, a breathing roof, a false roof, whatever. If you ever have actually done a real cathedral roof, weeping in the winter is your #1 issue, and I want to avoid that. So putting as much stuff, moss, 2 pond liners, 2 under laminates, the foam board, whatever I can do that's cheap, I will do it. Thank God, that is done. I just got done sweeping it off. It's important to sweep it, even though it doesn't have to be clean. You know, you wouldn't think that it would, but if you don't sweep it off, you'll have little bits of sawdust falling out of your roof for the rest of time. And it occurred to me that once we put house wrap on it, you're never gonna be able to see this angle A again. So here you go. This is it. This is the top of the roof made out of pallets. I mean, it's actually fairly big. We went with like a 20-inch overhang. So the roof, yeah, the roof is massive, but it's dramatically bigger than the house. The house under it is smaller. One of the few places that I would encourage you not to skimp is on your roof overhang. That will pay dividends for forever. It's definitely worth the time and the effort to give yourself the biggest overhang that you're comfortable with, you know, keeping in mind what supplies that you are working with. And 20 inches was it for us. So yep, pallets. The next step for us here is to put down some house wrap. I have a pre-cut piece. I did go with the 9-foot house wrap size. You know, it comes in either 3 or 9. I prefer 3. It's a little bit more work, but it is more manageable. However, the 9 was cheaper, so that's what we got. The house wrap serves 3 purposes, right? First and foremost, it gets a waterproof layer on our roof as fast as possible. It's also very, very cheap. Purpose number 2 is it seals it up, right? Not just from rain, but it creates a good, solid, relatively impenetrable barrier for the hot, moist air inside of your house to work its way up through your roof and find something cold to then condense on. And number 3, it's white. I like whiteness in my house. And even though we did our best to make this one giant solid piece, there are gaps in it. So if I'm gonna see anything through the gap, I want it to be white, because even the tiniest amount of reflected light is gonna make me feel better. So either way, all you do, stretch it out and staple it down. And the house wrap is finished on the roof. This is now a legitimate roof. It's not a very strong roof. It's not a very sturdy roof. And it would really only last about 6 months in direct sun, but it can rain right now and our house is protected. We're up here on the roof. We're gonna do insulation today. It is sprinkling and I'm leaving muddy footprints behind me. But it's the job that's never started, that never gets finished, and I would love to get this finished as soon as possible. So I'm up here even with muddy footprints. So either way, it's really just putting down foam board. It's the cheap stuff, the really, really thin stuff, putting it down and then screwing it to the actual roof. And then we will tape the seams with cheap Dollar Tree duct tape. And ta-da, we will be done. At least with the insulation, sort of. We finished the insulation just in time for the rain. It's only sprinkling now, but it's said to get worse. And yeah, it was definitely boogieing trying to get this finished. Whoop. Trying to get this, every now and then I get like, I feel like I'm about to fall, even though I'm not even moving. You know, I'm doing this, but like my inner ear tells me I'm about to fall over. But either way, especially when I'm looking, you know, I can see it all from up here. Everything's way smaller than it should be. That Jeep, I know how big that Jeep is. My truck, well, my truck still looks huge, but four-wheeler looks like it's about that big. But either way, just in time for the rain, we got the insulation done. That was super easy and really, really quick, right? This insulation is basically like plywood. So were you to build a house out of plywood instead of pallet boards, it would be as quick as the insulation was, if not quicker, because that was kind of fiddly. But yeah, I taped the tape on the seams. It's just regular Dollar Tree tape, nothing special. From here, all we gotta do is put our underlayment, which is like a giant blanket. We put that on top, and then we put our pond liner on top of that. Now, when the roof is finished, there'll be 2 pond liners and 2 underlaminates. But for right now, we're just gonna start with 1 of each, and then ta-da, the roof is finished. I mean, it's a legitimate roof that'll last at least 10 years. However, we are going for A, overkill, and B, an infinite roof, a forever roof. So 10 years is just not good enough. The next step in creating this living roof is putting the pond liner under laminate down. It's basically a giant blanket, right? Which is half the selling point because it'll help add insulation to your structure. But its entire purpose is to help blunt sharp edges, right? To help protect your pond liner from rips or from getting holes poked in it. So it's definitely worth it on that score. But it's also a giant blanket that gets to go on your roof. So it's as simple as just stretching it out and tacking it down. We're back up here on the roof, and this time I've got the actual pond liner itself. It's basically the exact same deal as with the under laminate, except we're going to be using screws and those big washers, as well as some RTV silicone to help give us the best seal possible. But really, it's just stretching it out and attaching it however you want to. This is a very rubbery thing. You could probably use staples, and the water would not penetrate through it because I believe it would make its own seal. But we're gonna, for the price and the energy involved, we're gonna go with the option that gives me the most peace of mind. So we are overdoing it to some degree. That was a whole lot easier than I was picturing. This is a very rigid, thing to work with here. It's a very tough, which is good. You want it to be thick. But I was picturing being a whole lot more difficult. However, it wasn't. I wish it didn't resemble a giant trash bag so much, but I didn't do that, right? I got the correct laminate for the job we want to do. I did not make it black. I did not create some correlation between it and trash bags. But yeah, that was surprisingly easy. So rock and roll for that. If I can do it, scared as I am of heights, 20-something feet in the air on a tower house made out of pallet, you can do it anywhere. I'm telling you, you can do it anywhere. But either way, there is like a rock right here. So I got to fold up that corner and get this rock out. But yeah, I think we're ready, man. I'll try to smooth it out a little bit more, and then we'll start attaching our screw washer things with silicone. That was literally a rock. I should have checked my boots better. It didn't do anything to the actual pond liner. But do you believe I brought up a rock with me? Shoot, I played with the idea of taking my boots off, but this is I thought I'd just slide right off like a stick of butter on a up and down pan, man. But either way, yeah, definitely check for rocks. We have one final step until our roof is finished, and that is placing our Starlink on top of it. I did make some padded feet for it to help protect the pond liner, and this will have it finished at least until winter. This is really nerve-wracking. Not only is it, you know, I'm scared of heights, but this is our freaking internet here. $700 piece of equipment. And the Starlink is installed. The roof is finished, at least until winter. We got a couple months until we got to do a lot more work to it. But as of right now, mission accomplished. There is a roof on the Pallet Tower. And there you have it, right? I mean, I say this at the end of every video. It was not easy. What I did was not easy. It never is, but it's effort or money. It's work or time, whatever it is. There is a triangle, and you could choose two, but you never get the third one. And for us, that is money. So it was not easy, but it was very, very simple, and it was very, very cheap. If you were anyone else, right, this would be plenty. And if you're on a really strict budget and you do not care about harvesting water off of your roof, the easiest, cheapest, forever thing to do is to throw a piece of carpet on it, right? I can't do that. I would, you know, okay, I could do it, but the choice of mine is not to do that because you know, not really my thing, but I would like to have the ability to harvest water off of this roof, which is another factor. You can absolutely harvest drinking water off of a living roof. You'll have to have a little bit more involved filter system than if you had a metal roof, but metal roof leaches chemicals, right? I mean, I can't think of any roof that would give you pure, clean drinking water, except maybe slate. But no one can do that. But either way, the roof is done. I am happy with it. The part that I disliked the least, okay, well, no, the real part that I disliked the least was heights. I don't like heights. But past that was putting down the sheeting, you know, actually sheeting the roof itself with all those tiny little boards. That was a nightmare. That took forever. But the plus side is we can look up in this house and see all of my effort. My effort went into something. From here, we have a lot more work to do, but one of those steps in that work is putting boiled linseed oil on the entire interior of this house, which will make that incredibly difficult roof pop out even more. Now for the new service. This is not something that we came up with. This was not our idea. It was not, I would have never thought of it, but we've had a large number of people bring it up over time, but the number has increased. The frequency of this question has increased, and that is one-on-one consulting, right? And I'm not going to do like a FaceTime thing. You know, I'm not going to do a live stream, but what we can do, and what we've decided to at least give a shot, is one-on-one consulting via personal YouTube videos. So if you have a question, all you got to do is email us directly at info@steepinthewoods. At some point, we may get some kind of a sheet or get it streamlined. But right now, just email us and give us your question. We will produce a video just for you and provide you the link, at which point you type that in and there is your one-on-one consultation. There will be a small fee to it. If that bothers you, then just, you know, but yeah, I think that is the perfect way. We're already producing videos for companies. We don't do a lot because I charge, but Celia said, why not take these people up? Why not listen to them and actually provide that service ourselves for all of our viewers? So if that's something that you are interested in, or if that's a question that you have asked me, if you're one of those people, by all means, send us an email and let's talk about what your needs are. All right, guys, that is it for this video. Always remember, if you liked what you saw, hit that button. If you're new to the project, hit that other button. You want to help support the project, there are links below. If you need a consultation, email us directly, and I'll see you next time here on Steep in the Woods.
Thing, woman. The firm, the company, the business, said Susie. Them is what runs the house and all its, I don't know, business. What is the house? Asked Arthur. And how can all this be inside it?